Alright, I will admit it. Chucky is starting to grow on me a little bit. Not an extreme amount, but, I'm starting to like the more maniacal, yeah, sarcastic humor of this uncanny valley doll, if you will. And Child's Play 3, this is actually not that bad. I enjoyed this more for something else. It's 8 years later, and Andy Barclay is now 16, and he enrolls or is forced to kind of go to a Kent military academy. Never really stated. Has trouble with certain authority, I guess. And he's trying to get on with his life, but lo and behold, the dang doll returns, and I was thinking, what? Like, have I not suffered enough? He says, and yeah. So the doll returns, and I'm thinking, okay, usually by number three, these films kind of just become a wet flatulence. This one's surprised me mostly. I just thought it had just been recycled content, but no, this one actually felt a little bit more. This one had more, I guess, razzle dazzle would be the word. I think that the setting, a military academy, adds more flavor, more darkness that could be in here, and I'm just thinking, dang. So yeah, this movie is just more. It's like a couple things I noticed with this movie is one, just the bullying, and I guess you could even call it hazing going on in these academies that would not be tolerated nowadays. I'll tell you that much. This is a movie, and it's just there for the drama. But yeah, we'll get to that central theme later. Brad Dourif returns to voice Chucky, and he does a good job. I mean, he always does. Always being sarcastic, angry, and everything else. But just to have a little bit more of a menace about him, where it's just less, I don't know, less like getting used to everything, and more just with the swearing and the snappy comebacks and just demeanor and presence. Just adds more gravitas to his voice. Hi, don't fuck with the Chuck is my personal favorite. It's like, yeah, you don't F with, you don't cluck with the Chuck. Like that. Now just imagine that in his voice, and you'll have pretty much that. Yes, this movie is pretty gosh darn quotable, and yes, it is. It is funny. Like the scenes that I enjoyed was obviously the climax with the carnival where it goes on. You're like in that little roller coaster where you go through, and like a haunted house. You've seen those before. That's obviously the best part. Climbing like a hill, set and some like demons come out of a casket. Truly making it feel like a Halloween spectacular. Like this is the Halloween version of Child's Play that I've seen so far, and I'm like, yes, this feels like a proper conclusion. It's not a retread. It's like, let us take what was from being inside the house in the first one, the houses on which were first one was good, second one just felt, eh. The third one here was surprisingly better. I think that transferring it to a more serious place just made it feel more raw and visceral. I mean, Chucky here is a bastard. He's loading live rounds into rifles that were just supposed to be paintball guns, and like, yeah, pretty much one person gets shot, and it's just it's like he does that. It's like he was ready to have just both sides just eliminate each other, of just declaring war, a military academy. It's just like, jeez, oh Pete, yeah, but and again, when he's also when he's pretty much just threatening a kid, trying to, so that way Charles Lee Ray can transfer his soul into what, an 8-year-old child or something like that. It's just like, okay then. So you just look a bit, and it's like he's got a large knife and everything. It's like, yes, the puppeteers here actually did a better job. You have less first person views, which I like. So we get to see more maniacal mischief. Yeah, and of course they use computer animation or whatever to bring alive more lifelike eyes and movements. Like I think they even moved. They even took 18 frames per second instead of 24 to make them feel more realistic, which I liked. Yeah, but obviously, it's like this film it's a stereotypical 1990s kind of like, I don't want to say hazing, but at the same time, like when you have a colonel, yeah, you have this Colonel Shelton Cochran or whatever his name is, who pretty much just rules it in place with an iron fist, but he doesn't allow for individuality in there, and he even makes some of the cadets shine his shoes. Does unexpected inspections and does the cliches of like, who are you, cadet? Kind of like not exactly beating them, but just like proving his authority and everything. Even swearing, that does not work. That's not in the military anymore. So yeah, you've got that. You have the nerd that people are always picking on, but he proves his courage to everyone in the end. It's like it's got all the cliches, and yeah, it's of its time. So take what you will about that. And yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like some parts of this one work, but having the recycled idea of how the freaking Play Pals company, which is probably like their version of Hasbro, reviving the good guys for a second time, despite the fact what happened in the first two movies, it's just like, really? Have we not learned from us using this plot, having this narrative thing just recycle? I'm like, no, this is getting ridiculous. They bring him back, and they kind of just like Frankenstein them back together. I'll admit the intro was pretty cool. They must have had some like chocolate, used to like mimic the plastic coming together, except it's upside down. That was pretty cool. I liked it. But yeah, just in the first 11 minutes, just having these people in an executive meeting just going on. The CEO gets eliminated. I'm just like, whatever. We've got some dweeb looking, like, I don't know, person there. I don't even give a dang. Who's like the assistant to the CEO, and I just didn't care about any of that crap. So, it's like the army itself, it just feels, some of this just feels treaded on. Which, to be fair, the author, like the writer, I forget his name, had like, they immediately want a sequel, so he didn't have enough time to like expound on the central themes of everything. So you do kind of get just a mediocre script, but I guess, with like the central theme of letting go of the past, transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and even some cliched, with a cliched colonel or whatever speaking. When I was a child, I spake like a child. Corinthians 1 or whatever it is, I don't know. When I was a child, I played with childish things. I put the child things away, became an adult. So it's that really is a cliche. And just they wanted an army of Chuckies, but due to budgetary reasons, they couldn't make that happen. So instead, we get what I consider to be the next best thing: him just causing mayhem for a bunch of people. So it's not that bad. This supposedly caused a fair amount of controversy in the UK because there was this one child who supposedly was too influenced by this movie and unfortunately committed a murder against another child. But there is no provenance of that. There was only the Sun newspaper and the magazine that reported it because there was a whole video nasty scare going on by Lisa Whitehead or Whitemore, whatever her name was. So ultimately, it was just sensationalistic, and it ultimately just amounted to nothing. But yeah, it became a video nasty, and it got banned. So this movie, is it worth the controversy? Not particularly. And yeah, it's awful what happened over there. Don't get me wrong, but just a scapegoat. And I mean, I think even the child still said, "Yeah, I don't like horror movies," something like that. So yeah, just a bunch of poppycock, if you will. So yeah, Child's Play 3. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention they brought in some person to play the teenaged Andy Barclay, Justin, whatever his name is. It's horror movie acting. It's not the greatest in the world. It's whatever. You know, I'm not blaming him. He did the job. He does the job, and really that's what matters. Alex Vincent would have been 9 years old when they were filming this, 9, 10, something like that. So that's why they couldn't have him portray Annie as a teenager. But yeah, overall, Child's Play 3, despite the script being lackluster and the CEO in the beginning with the industry and kind of generic and the generic 1990s tropes, I actually do recommend. It's like another two and a half movies. So yeah, watch Child's Play 3.